Hey, it's Robert Kelly again from the Gloucester Museum of History, and today I want to talk to you all about the Gloucester Agricultural and Industrial School. I'm standing beside this 309-pound bell that was cast in 1891 that is the last remaining object from this very, very important school. Let me tell you a little bit about the school. In the 1870s, Virginia established a public school system, but there were not any high schools in Gloucester County for African Americans. The local community decided that they needed to address this issue. So the local white population, the local black population, they worked together. Now, this was still separate. This was still during the times of segregation. However, they endeavored to create a school for African American students that would prepare these kids to go on to college. That was the goal of this school. It was known as the Gloucester Agricultural Industrial School, and it was located in the Cappahozic section of Gloucester County. Now, the school became one of the largest schools in Gloucester. By the 1920s, enrollment peaked at 125. Enrollment peaked at the high school in 1925 with 159 students. Now, it was a boarding school, meaning that the students actually traveled and lived here on the campus. Here's a photograph of what the campus looked like in the early 1900s. You notice two permanent structures, large dormitory buildings. You notice in the background some workshops and this type of thing. And if you notice right here where my finger is, you will see a bell sitting up on the top, a belfry. And that is the bell that we have here in the museum. Now, unfortunately, the Great Depression comes, late 1920s, early 1930s, and this forces the school to close. Funding just ran dry. Many of the students that were paying tuition to attend this school, those monies had to be directed elsewhere to support families. So 1933, the school unfortunately closes. And the property falls into disrepair. By the 1970s, the gorgeous buildings were crumbling, and nowadays the only thing that's left down at the site of the school is a historic marker. But we do have this fantastic bell, and this object is on loan to us from a local family here in Gloucester who saved the bell from the property. Now, this school has a wonderful and very important legacy. Obviously being the first high school for African Americans in Gloucester. But I think it's also important because people like Frederick Douglass, for example, came and visited this school. Frederick Douglass delivered the commencement address in 1894, 1 year before he passes away. This is a big deal when the leading civil rights activist in the United States comes to Little Gloucester to offer a commencement address at the Gloucester Agricultural Industrial School. This was a very, very big deal. The other thing that's interesting about this school is that the second principal in particular, William Gibbons Price and his wife Carrie Price, they were able to they were able to blend the educational philosophies from the leading African American leaders of the time, in particular Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. The students here were taught agricultural and industrial trades, but they were also taught humanities. So they were also taught foreign languages. They were taught drama, music, dance, modern African American literature, and all of the traditional things that were being taught at the time. The Prices, the principals, they really wanted these African American students to have the same opportunities that white kids had at the time. So they really wanted them to have this well-rounded education. And I think, kind of reflecting on this, it was really a school that was ahead of its time. Because when we look at what's going on today, we often hear about, it's important for kids to learn science, math, technology, but it's also important to learn the trades. And that's exactly what this school was doing over 100 years ago. So I think it's a wonderful story. There's a lot of amazing graduates that went on to do great things. African American graduates that went on to become, that went to college and graduate school and went on to be educators in their own right. And here at the Gloucester Museum of History, in addition to the bell, which is really the last object we have from the school, we also have a wonderful collection of objects from the school, including a diploma, including a book report written in French about a French novel. Again, this demonstrates the humanities piece, the foreign language piece. We have some ledgers here in the foreground that show how the students were paying their tuition. And one of the things that I really like about our exhibit here is we have these three photographs, and I'm really, the photograph here on the bottom of the young lady doing ballet That is a really special photograph. In the early 1900s, ballet was something that African Americans weren't often given the opportunity to learn. So I think this speaks to just the well-rounded educational offerings that were available at this school. Again, it's a wonderful, wonderful story, and this exhibit here tells the story. And the bell, having the school bell that was cast in 1891 that weighs 309 pounds, it was cast by McShane Bell Foundry in Baltimore, Maryland. It's a pretty special object, and I always tap the bell for students because I remind kids that that sound, that bell, everybody that taught at this school, everybody that visited the campus of this school, every student that went to this school would identify with that sound. So this is just an amazing object that we have. And I hope you'll come to the Gloucester Museum of History to learn about the Gloucester Agricultural Industrial School and to see this great display.
Thank you very much. And we're in Gloucester, Virginia.